Imagine a man who, well, genuinely believes the world is just overflowing with incompetent idiots. Seriously. A man who scrutinizes cars with the precision of, I don't know, a master mechanic, judges people with his unshakable conviction.
Right.
And even analyzes coffee, like with the certainty that he is, in fact, right about absolutely everything.
Yeah, that's Ove.
That's our starting point today. And honestly, you might just find a bit of him in yourself or maybe in someone you know pretty well. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into the wonderfully stubborn, unexpectedly tender, and just utterly unforgettable world of Ove.
That's right. The central figure from Fredrik Backman's, well, universally beloved novel, A Man Called Ove.
Exactly. We've meticulously gathered insights from various excerpts of the book to really explore his unique, kind of curmudgeonly, but ultimately heartwarming story.
And our mission in this deep dive, really, is to unpack Ove's distinct worldview. We want to peel back the layers, understand the underlying reasons for his staunch principles and his often perceived grumpiness.
Yeah, why is he like that?
Right. But we're going beyond just description here. We want to discover how unexpected connections can truly transform even the most rigid of individuals. And maybe how life's most profound moments often arrive as these, well, inconvenient interruptions.
Yeah. That's definitely Autumn's experience.
Along the way, we'll try to unearth some valuable nuggets of wisdom on how embracing or maybe even just encountering different perspectives can profoundly enrich our own lives.
And maybe offer a shortcut to understanding those Oves we encounter every day.
Exactly.
You know, as we journey through Ove's story, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How do we navigate a rapidly changing world when our own, deeply held principles feel constantly under attack?
That's a great question.
And how do these seemingly small, maybe even frustrating interactions shape our lives, often in ways we just don't expect? We're going to explore how Ove's story can help us better understand ourselves and others, and perhaps even find a little more joy in the messy, unpredictable flow of life. Okay, let's unpack this. So let's begin by stepping right into Ove's world, because it is a very specific, meticulously ordered, and frankly, quite rigid place.
Oh, absolutely. For Ovis, it's really quite simple.
Oh.
Right is right. There's no room for nuance, no gray area.
None at all.
Life, as he understands it, should follow clear rules, logic, unwavering principles, not subjective feelings, not these fleeting trends.
Definitely not trends.
And certainly not the ever-changing whims of modern society.
No.
He looks around and sees a world where he feels everything was exchangeable and loyalty was worthless.
And that just drives him nuts, doesn't it?
Utterly infuriating for him. And this isn't just, personal preference or a simple desire for tidiness. It's deeper. It's a profound, almost existential resistance to what he sees as societal decay. His daily life, as we see it, is this relentless, meticulous battle against this perceived chaos. Every single morning, he embarks on these, legendary inspection rituals of his street.
They really are legendary.
These aren't just habits, they are acts of defiance, acts of assertion.
Oh, the inspections.
Yeah.
They're iconic. He's out there, right? Clad in his signature navy blue trousers and jacket, his trusty wooden clogs.
Yep. Hands in pockets.
Hands in pockets, almost expecting the worthless world to disappoint him, to prove his worst suspicions true.
Exactly. His first stop. Checking all the garages. Looking for burglaries or vandalism.
Even though, as the book says, such things have never happened around here.
But that's the point, isn't it? It's because Ove has never skipped one of his inspections either.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of order.
Precisely. And for good measure, he meticulously tugs his own Saab garage door handle. How many times?
3 times.
Yeah.
Every single time. A sacred ritual speaks volumes about his need for certainty.
It really does. And the ritual continues, right, to the guest parking area.
Oh, yeah. The guest parking?
Here, cars are permitted for a strict 24 hours. No more.
And Ove enforces this personally.
With almost military precision, he notes down all the license numbers, cross-referencing them daily with the previous day's list.
And if someone overstays?
Oh, he doesn't just sigh or tut. No. He calls the vehicle licensing authority, gets the owner's details.
You're kidding.
And then calls them directly to inform them in no uncertain terms that they are a useless, bloody imbecile who couldn't even read signs.
Wow. That's intense.
For Ove, it's not about who is parked there. It's the principle of the rule. 24 hours means 24 hours.
Otherwise chaos.
Exactly. Otherwise, as he sees it, chaos would ensue, and there would be cars bloody everywhere.
Yeah.
It's this assertion of a moral order through meticulous, almost obsessive enforcement.
And the trash room. Don't get him started on the trash room.
Oh, the indignity. He'll literally kick the bins muttering about incompetence under his breath.
And we'll fish out a glass jar from the recycling just to unscrew its metal lid and put it in the correct bin.
Yes, because the failure to separate metal from glass isn't just a minor oversight for him.
No, it's a moral failing, a sign of societal decay.
Exactly. He once pushed hard to get surveillance cameras installed to monitor unauthorized trash.
Right, arguing that honest intentions had nothing to fear from the truth.
But his proposal was voted out because neighbors felt slightly uneasy, which, to Ove, probably just confirmed their inherent incompetence.
Right, has proved his point, yeah.
It's truly telling, isn't it? And what's even more fascinating is the later attempt by the new Residents Association steering group. They wanted motion-activated cameras sending footage to the internet or racing after 24 hours.
Of a modern solution.
Right. But they needed a unanimous decision. Guess who voted against it?
Let me guess.
Ove, because he did not trust the internet. He insisted on calling it the net.
Of course he did. Sanjay used to correct him, right? Saying you put emphasis on inter.
Yes. But he wouldn't have it, his reasoning. He believed his daily inspection was more effective anyway. You knew who was doing what and who was keeping things under control.
Wow. His physical presence versus the digital world.
Deep mistrust of anything intangible, anything beyond his direct personal scrutiny. His eyes were better than any camera.
Right. And after the trash room, he locks the door, tugs it 3 times.
Yeah.
Just for good measure. Then he eyeballs any bicycles left leaning against walls, despite the very clear no bicycle parking sign.
And have that.
Nope. He'll pick them up, meticulously place them inside the bike shed, even if they have a flat tire. It's not about the bike's condition, it's the rule.
The rule is the rule.
And those angry handwritten notes from neighbors taped to the wall.
Those are coming down.
Gone. He tears them down. Walls are not a bloody notice board. It's just this absolute conviction in the proper order of things.
And his vigilance extends even further, doesn't it? To the pavement cracks outside his own house.
He actually sniffs them.
He stoops and sniffs vehemently for the distinct smell of piss before finally going inside. Every single one of these actions,
It's incredible.
from the garage door tugging to the pavement sniffing, isn't just an obsession. It's an active, daily engagement in upholding a standard of order he believes is just vanishing.
They're not just quirks.
No, they're manifestations of this profound existential need for a world that follows logical, predictable rules. For Ove, these actions are a constant small rebellion against the perceived chaos and decline around him. Every tidied bike, every sorted bin is a tiny victory in his private war for a world that makes sense.
And his disdain for modernity and, well, what he sees as incompetence is just palpable. It seeps into everything.
Absolutely. Take technology.
Oh, the OPAD story.
Yes. He goes into a shop, demands to know if an OPAD, his term for an iPad, is a good computer. He just flatly refuses to call it a tablet or a surfing device.
And the poor sales assistant.
Described as a young man with a single-digit body mass index, looking utterly ill at ease, right? Practically struggling not to snatch the box back.
Ove just stares at him as if he's just spoken backwards.
And when asked if it's a normal bloody computer, and the assistant nervously suggests a laptop,
Ove just glares. No, I don't want a laptop. I want a computer. He's genuinely incredulous that anyone would imply he doesn't know a laptop is a computer.
it's brilliant. And for him, modern cars are the same. Suspect. Filled with a lot of electronics and crap inside them.
Makes him feel like driving a computer. He can't touch them, can't understand them in the same way he understood his Saab.
Exactly. And this profound discomfort with the intangible, the technologically opaque, extends, of course, to people.
Oh, definitely.
He assesses 31-year-old show-offs working with computers and refusing to drink normal coffee with this air of superior judgment.
Total skepticism towards self-employed people and other disreputable sorts.
And joggers, with their smug smiles and outfits making them look like 14-year-old Romanian gymnasts or the Olympic tobogganing team. It's just baffling to
And
him.
small talk.
Yeah.
Forget it.
He struggles with it, believes people just blabber on about anything, purely because it was nice. For Ave, competence and directness are paramount. Anything else is just irritation.
He genuinely laments a society where No one was capable of doing anything properly anymore.
Yes, things like changing tires, installing dimmer switches, laying tiles, plastering walls.
Even filing taxes. These are fundamental skills he mastered. But now, he feels they've lost their relevance.
He sees it as a celebration of mediocrity, where if you could just go and buy everything, what was the value of it? What was the value of a man?
That's such a key line for him.
It really is. He's a man who understood things he could see and touch. Wood and concrete, glass and steel, tools, things one could figure out. Right angles, clear instruction manuals, assembly models.
Things that make sense.
Tangible things. This speaks to a man whose identity is intrinsically linked to competence and tangible creation. In a world where everything's bought and replaced, what is the value of a man who can do things?
It's a core existential crisis for him, isn't it?
That profound sense of loss for practical competence is absolutely critical. It's not just general grumpiness. It's deeply tied to his identity, his value system, his self-worth.
Yeah.
And then there's the infamous BMW problem.
Rune.
This is his core, deeply personal reason for animosity with Rune, who was once his closest friend, co-founder of the Residents Association even.
Right. And Rune buying a BMW, that was the betrayal.
For Ove, it was huge. And later, Rune got an automated robotic lawnmower that mysteriously drove into his pool.
Huh. Only for Rune.
But the BMW, it wasn't just a bad purchase for Ove. It symbolized a profound betrayal of principles. A departure from quality, from loyalty, an embrace of that exchangeable nature of modern society Ove despises.
Sanji used to roll her eyes, didn't she, when Ove would ask with genuine exasperation, how the heck are you supposed to have a reasonable conversation with someone who buys a BMW?
Yes. It wasn't just a car. It was Rune abandoning their shared, deep-seated principles of craftsmanship and loyalty for something flashy and, in Ove's eyes, fundamentally unreliable, devoid of true value.
A personal wound that mirrored his larger societal anxieties.
Absolutely.
So when we look at Ove's world, so meticulously ordered, what's truly at the heart of this insistence on right is right? What does this rigid adherence to routine and principle tell us about his deep-seated need for control and order? It feels almost like a fortress he's built.
That's a really astute observation. His unwavering routines are indeed a sophisticated coping mechanism. They provide him with predictability, a profound sense of mastery in a world that he perceives as increasingly chaotic, unreliable, and frankly, illogical.
Right, when everything else feels exchangeable.
Exactly. When loyalty seems worthless, when the social contract feels like it's fraying, these principles are his anchors. They are his way of asserting order in a disordered world.
And this isn't unique to Ove, you're saying?
Not at all. It's quite common for individuals, when faced with rapid societal change that feels overwhelming or threatening, to cling fiercely to what is familiar, to what has always been right. Yeah. This often manifests as strong opinions, judgment, defensive behaviors. It's really a form of self-preservation in the face of perceived chaos.
So it raises that important question, doesn't it? Is it pure inflexibility, or is it a manifestation of a deeply held, maybe threatened value system? Is he just stubborn, or is there something more profound going on?
I think it's far more the latter. And that's a crucial distinction to make. These aren't just idiosyncratic quirks. They are direct extensions of his core beliefs about integrity, responsibility, competence, loyalty.
Okay.
When he sees someone not sorting their recycling or parking incorrectly, he's not just seeing a minor infraction, he's seeing a breakdown of the social contract, a sign that people are losing their ability to take responsibility for things, for the collective good.
So it's bigger than just the rule itself.
Much bigger. His grumpiness, his gruff exterior, it's essentially a protective shell. It's guarding what he considers essential truths in a world that no longer seems to value them. He's fighting, in his own curmudgeonly way, for a world that used to make sense to him, a world built on principles he deeply trusts.
And in that fight, there's a quiet dignity, maybe.
I think so. A quiet, stubborn dignity.
Okay, so to truly understand Ove, to really look beyond that gruff exterior we've just described, we have to go back, don't we?
Absolutely.
His unyielding nature, his principles, they didn't just appear out of nowhere. They were forged, really, in the crucible of profound early life experiences, marked by significant loss, the shaping hand of his father, and ultimately a transformative love.
You've got it. His parents, though maybe not always explicitly talked about in the book, left this indelible, almost sacred mark on his character. His clearest memory of his mother, for instance, is just her sitting quietly in the kitchen window, smoking and singing in her hoarse voice.
Which he liked listening to.
Which he simply liked listening to. Her early death from working at a chemicals plant was Ove's very first significant experience with loss. It set this profound precedent for the permanence of absence, how quickly things can be taken away.
Yeah. And his father, described as a railway worker with hands like carved leather and muscles cut out of rock.
A strong, quiet presence.
And he gave Ove perhaps his most profound maxim. Ove, only a swine thinks size and strength are the same thing. Remember that?
Powerful words.
Yeah. It wasn't just a casual comment. It was a foundational principle. It shaped Ove's understanding of true strength, character, integrity.
Right. That true strength wasn't about physical size or brute force, but about inner fortitude, moral conviction, quiet steadfastness. It laid the groundwork for his entire moral compass.
And this practical, hands-on education infused with these deep moral lessons, it extended to his lifelong, almost spiritual commitment to
Saab.
the Saab brand, yes. Ove's father meticulously taught him every mechanical part of a Saab engine, especially that old Saab 92 he received as a gift from the railway director.
That wasn't just a car, it was a trust, a bond. A huge gift for an 8-year-old.
And that night, the book says, he decided that night he would never drive any car but a Saab.
Incredible loyalty right from the start. His Sundays with his father driving in the Saab after church became his favorite part of the week.
A cherished routine that bonded them, intertwining love, loyalty, mechanical understanding.
It's all there.
And this loyalty, this unwavering sense of, it was tested really early on, wasn't it? The wallet incident.
Yes. At just 9 years old, he found a wallet stuffed with a fortune inside over 6,000 kroner while cleaning out a railway cart with Tom, a dishonest colleague.
And Tom immediately claimed finders keepers.
Of course he did. But Ove's father, without even looking away from his work, just told Ove, "You decide."
Wow. Put it right on him.
Exactly. And Ove, feeling Tom's burning gaze, this intense desire for the money, determinedly said the lost property office was the best place for it.
Even at 9.
Even at 9. That, the book tells us, was the day he learned that right has to be right, and that he decided to be as little unlike his father as possible.
He learned integrity mattered more than personal gain, more than avoiding confrontation. A lesson he carried forever.
The devastating blow, though, came when Ove was just 16.
His father's death.
Died tragically in a railway accident, left Ove with not much more than a Saab, a ramshackle house, and a dented old wristwatch.
Suddenly an orphan. Truly alone.
And he stopped being happy for several years, refused charity from the vicar, concluded that God seemed to be a bit of a bloody swine.
Harsh words, but understandable.
It plunged him into this very specific sort of loneliness and isolation that profoundly shaped his subsequent years, a wound that, for a long time, never truly healed.
Yet out of that profound grief, he found a new purpose, a new anchor, through work, didn't he?
He did. He took on his father's railway shifts, discovered a certain liberation in doing a job, appreciated grabbing hold of things with his own 2 hands and seeing the fruit of his efforts.
You like the tangible.
Exactly. He always liked mathematics. He understood things he could see and touch, wood and concrete, glass and steel. Tools, things one could figure out.
That practical expertise, that ability to engage with the tangible, it led him to painstakingly rebuild his parents' dilapidated house, right?
Screw by screw and floorboard by floorboard. Finding that houses were fair, they gave you what you deserved. He found solace, maybe even a quiet form of healing, in tangible tasks, in building and fixing, asserting control over something concrete when his inner world was chaos.
Which brings us, crucially, to Sanja.
Sanja. She was, quite literally, the color in Ove's otherwise black and white world.
That's such a beautiful description.
Isn't it? 2 years after his father's funeral, Ove was 18, he saw Sanja for the first time on a train platform. Her red shoes, her gold brooch, her burnished brown hair, her effervescent laughter.
Utterly unlike anything he'd known.
Completely. And in a moment of absolute uncharacteristic spontaneity, he got back on the outbound train. Highly irrational for someone like Ove.
Because it was as if something malfunctioned within him.
Exactly. From that moment, life was never again the same. She was the disruptive, beautiful force that cracked open his carefully constructed solitude.
And what an influence she had. Sanja didn't just passively exist in his life. She actively challenged his passivity, didn't she?
Oh, absolutely. When he expressed a quiet desire to build houses, she didn't just nod. She asked, "But why don't you do it then?"
And then brought him brochures for an engineering correspondence course.
Exactly. She truly saw him, understood his deeper hidden nature. She once told him with such profound insight, "You're dancing on the inside, Ove, when no one's watching, and I'll always love you for that."
Wow, that captures him perfectly.
Doesn't it? Their Sundays at the cafe, Ove reading the newspaper while Sanja looked at people, became this cherished routine, a quiet connection that brought sustained, vibrant color to his life. She was the one person who could truly appreciate the fierce, principled, but often unspoken love within him.
Their shared tragedy, though, was immense. It fundamentally reshaped their lives.
It did. While on a bus tour in Spain, Sanja became pregnant. Then, a bus accident during that trip led to Sanja's paralysis and the devastating loss of their unborn child.
Just heartbreaking.
Ove was consumed by an utter impotence, a feeling of powerlessness that fueled this burning, all-consuming desire to destroy that bus driver, the travel agency, the crash barrier of that highway.
That rage against injustice.
He felt an ancient, inconsolable despair and knew that this pain was forever. This incident didn't just inflict physical and emotional wounds, it fundamentally altered Ove, solidifying his need to protect and fight fiercely for what he loved and for what was right.
And this tragedy directly led to his infamous years-long fight against the white shirts.
Exactly. Back in Sweden, Ove encountered innumerable men in white shirts in municipal offices. These faceless bureaucrats offering endless excuses, shuffling papers, refusing responsibility for Sanja's care or her crucial accessibility needs, like that access ramp at her school.
The system failing them.
This systematic indifference, this bureaucratic callousness, it fueled Ove's unfathomable vengefulness. He wrote letters, complaints for months, tried to sue the council, inundated them with the unfathomable vengefulness of a father who has been robbed. He was fighting for Sanja, for justice, and for the principle that right has to be right.
But Sanja, she had a different perspective.
Sanja, in her incredible wisdom and resilience, allowed Ove to express his fury. She recognized his deep need to rage against injustice, understood it was a necessary outlet for an unbearable pain.
But she didn't let it consume him.
No. Eventually, she gently guided him away from that consuming anger, pressing her finger into his rough palm and reminding him with such profound clarity, we can busy ourselves with living or with dying, Ove. We have to move on.
Wow.
She understood that his will to destroy was ultimately poisoning him, and she subtly, lovingly redirected his focus back to the possibility of living, finding purpose even in profound pain. She was his compass even when he didn't realize it.
So, reflecting on all of this, how do these foundational experiences, the profound losses, the transformative love of Sanja, how do they shape Ove's identity and his coping mechanisms? It feels like every defining moment just pushed him deeper into his principles.
They are absolutely, unequivocally formative. His right is right philosophy, initially that simple childhood lesson, becomes his unbreakable shield in the face of grief and conflict. When he loses his mother and then his father, he instinctively turns to what is tangible, what is provable, what he can control. The sob, the house he rebuilds, the railway shifts. These are concrete things that respond predictably to effort and adherence to rules.
They provide order when his emotional world is in chaos.
Exactly. And then when Sanja enters, bringing color and challenging his passivity, his right is right, philosophy finds this new, fierce application fighting for her in a world that is not fair, that refuses to take responsibility.
So his early lessons about integrity and loyalty become both his greatest strength and, ironically, sometimes a formidable barrier to connection later in life. He builds this incredible wall.
Precisely. His fierce, uncompromising loyalty to Sanja, his unwavering sense of justice, compels him to fight the whole world when she is hurt and needs him. This deep-seated need to protect and to fix extends from his loved ones to his principles, making him fundamentally unwilling to compromise on even the smallest things he believes are right.
He believes he's upholding the only true way, the loyal way.
Yes. But the same rigid adherence to right can inadvertently push people away because the world, as he sees it, is becoming increasingly wrong. He struggles to understand a world that doesn't operate on the same clear, unyielding principles he holds dear.
Leading to that isolation we see at the beginning.
Exactly. It's a testament to how deeply ingrained these experiences are, becoming the very fabric of his being.
Okay, so following Sanja's death, Ove's world just contracts, doesn't it, to an agonizing point. His most profound, pervasive desire is simply to die in peace.
That's all he wants.
He meticulously, logically, systematically plans his own demise, sees it as the only rational next step in a life that's lost its meaning.
And even then, his principles kick in.
Right. He prepares his house with obsessive detail for its next inhabitants. covering floors with plastic sheets for the real estate agents, applying felt pads to his stool legs.
Because he won't have those bastards scratching up his floor.
Exactly. Even in despair, his principles of order and competence hold sway. It's incredible.
And what's remarkable, and often darkly humorous, are the myriad ways life just conspires to interrupt these meticulously planned exits.
Life just won't let him go.
Nope. He tries to hang himself, but the doorbell rings, a chaotic, unexpected interruption. He attempts carbon monoxide poisoning in his beloved Saab, a really symbolic final act, but he's interrupted again.
Always something.
He tries to take pills, but the persistent howls of a stray cat and the interactions that follow intervene.
That cat. We'll get to the cat.
And most dramatically, he attempts to jump in front of a train, but instinctively, without a moment's thought, saves a man who falls onto the tracks instead.
Only to jump out of the way himself at the last second.
Yes. And later, with typical Ove grumbling, he corrects the municipal employees who call him a hero. What does he say?
He only saved his life, not their life.
Exactly. Life, in its messy, unpredictable way, simply refuses to let Ove go.
And then, the ultimate chaotic catalyst arrives with a literal crash.
Parvana and family.
Parvana and her family. The pregnant foreign woman and the lanky one, as Ovis initially labels them, they accidentally crash their trailer into Ova's house while trying to back up a Japanese car.
Oh, a foreign problematic machine in Ove's eye.
Of course. Ova's initial fury is legendary. He thunders through the window, roars at Parvana, ready for a full-blown confrontation.
But he's met not with fear, but with her astonishing directness, her calm.
And her carbonated laughter.
Yes. That laughter that refuses to go along with rules. It's a truly wild, disarming first encounter. A force he simply doesn't know how to categorize or control.
It immediately challenges his rigid worldview, his expectation of how people should behave.
Definitely. And despite his protests, his deep-seated grumbling, his declaration that he's not some bloody mobile service, what does he do?
He repeatedly, almost grudgingly, helps them.
He does. He expertly backs up their trailer when Patrick proves useless. He lends them a ladder.
Which Patrick promptly falls off.
Naturally. He agrees to bleed Rune and Anita's radiators, correcting Parvana that you don't breathe radiators, you bleed them.
Always the teacher.
His help is always given with a grumble, a sigh, a muttered insult, but always with this deep underlying competence. It's a fascinating, reluctant display of his inherent decency and capability, which he can't quite suppress even when he desperately wants to be left alone.
These begrudging acts then escalate into the truly unforgettable hospital incidents.
Oh, yes. Ovi is practically press-ganged into driving a heavily pregnant Parvana and her daughters, Nasanin, the 7-year-old, and the spirited 3-year-old, to the hospital after Patrick falls off the ladder.
And Ove, ever the stickler for rules and economy, predictably complains about
the hospital parking fees and the outrageous cost of the bathroom.
He even argues with a parking attendant, calling him a fake policeman, because he thinks it's simply beyond the pale to have to pay to die in a hospital, let alone park your car there.
Classic Ove logic. And then he's left to supervise the girls in the waiting room, a truly unlikely babysitter.
Yeah, can you picture it?
Here, he reluctantly reads a story with all the enthusiasm of someone reciting a tax statement.
Perfect description.
Yet engages in surprisingly witty banter with the 7-year-old about fairy tale voices. And in a moment of utterly accidental heroism,
he confronts the clown, Beppo.
Yes, confronts Beppo, the hospital clown who took his 5-kroner coin, resulting in Ove literally hitting the clown, a feat the 3-year-old gleefully reports to everyone within earshot.
Granddad hit a clown.
These interactions, born purely out of necessity and inconvenience, force him out of his solitude and into these uncomfortable yet deeply humanizing situations that just chisel away at his hardened exterior.
They draw him into the messy, vibrant world he'd been trying so desperately to escape.
Exactly.
And let's not forget the cat. This mangy, half-bald creature enters Ove's life as another unwelcome interruption.
He initially dislikes it immensely, right? Perceives all cats as untrustworthy, and too big like Ernest, Sonja's father's cat, who is apparently as big as mopeds.
So he tries to shoo it away, shouting, with typical Ove logic, "Hey, I'm not your friend."
But the cat, with its unyielding persistence and surprising loyalty, practically adopts Ove, rubbing it against his legs, demanding food.
And even howling outside his door when he plans that suicide attempt by Pills.
Yes. forcing his hand, disrupting his grim plans. He reluctantly accepts its presence, initially feeding it out of pity, then later fiercely defending it from the blonde wood and her aggressive dog.
And Parvana, ever shrewd, cleverly lies that her girls are allergic to cats,
Effectively leaving the cat with Ove, highlighting his gradual, almost imperceptible acceptance of this unwanted companion.
The cat becomes this poignant symbol, doesn't it, of the unexpected responsibilities and connections that disrupt his rigid solitude, nudging him back into life one grudging purr at a time.
It's a silent, furry testament to his evolving capacity for connection.
And it's not just Parvana and the cat. The neighborhood itself starts to evolve around him, almost forming this accidental community.
Yeah, it really does. There's Jimmy, the overweight young man whom Sanja had shown kindness.
Bringing him home-cooked meals after his mother died.
Right. And Ove, despite his internal criticisms, can't fathom how they do it. How much can one person eat? Gradually accepts Jimmy's quiet, unassuming presence, especially when Jimmy offers warmth to the frozen cat and later helps Ove in various unexpected situations.
Then there's Mirsad, Adrian's boss.
A bent person, in Oge's terms, someone rejected by his father for his unnatural ways. Ove's euphemism for being gay.
And Mirsad finds refuge and temporary lodging with O after being kicked out.
And Ove's gruff acceptance, even clarifying terms like a bender with a surprisingly open mind, demonstrates this quiet solidarity with another outsider, another individual who doesn't quite fit society's neat boxes.
It's a testament to his own deeply ingrained sense of fairness, maybe, peeking through the grumpiness.
I think so. And empathy.
And Adrian, the postman, a former student of Sanja's, whom she had inspired to read Shakespeare.
Adrian needs Ove's help repairing a bicycle for his girlfriend, leading to Ove's reluctant mentorship, sharing his beloved, meticulously organized tools and profound mechanical knowledge.
Ove initially asks him, how are you going to repair a bike without tools? Then, of course, lets him come over to use his own.
It's a passing of the torch, isn't it? A transmission of skills that Ove values so deeply.
And even Lena, the local journalist whom Ove accidentally locks in his garage,
becomes an unlikely ally, using media scrutiny to help Ove fight the bureaucracy later on.
And Anders, initially dismissed as a poser on the Residents Association,
surprisingly helps Ove in that complex plan against the white shirts, showing even those Ove deems incompetent can possess unexpected skills and allegiances when principles are at stake.
This collection of diverse, seemingly disparate individuals forms this unconventional yet profoundly effective community around him.
It really does.
So what do these interactions, these constant interruptions, reveal about the nature of human connection? Even for someone as seemingly rigid and isolated as Ove, he actively tries to push them away, but they just keep coming back, relentlessly, almost lovingly.
They reveal the profound and often unavoidable human need for a connection, I think. Even for someone as fiercely independent and deeply wounded as Ove, these minor inconveniences, a crashed trailer, a misplaced coin, a stubborn cat, they don't just happen, they snowball into significant life-altering relationships precisely because they force Ove to act, to engage, to be functional.
Right, he can't just stand by.
He tries, with every fiber of his being, to maintain his carefully constructed emotional distance. But his deeply ingrained principles of right and wrong, his sheer competence and his underlying decency compel him to intervene. His grumbling becomes a form of communication, his reluctant help, a profound form of bonding.
So it's fascinating how these characters, representing the very modernity Ove disguises, the show-offs working with computers, the self-employed, the ones with the wrong cars, they inadvertently become his new reason for living.
They do. They become the threads that slowly, persistently weave him back into the fabric of life.
They chip away at his isolation, not by force or sentimentality, but by sheer presence and undeniable need.
Exactly. Parvana's carbonated laughter and refusal to go along with rules aren't just quirks. They're this alien force for Ove, a chaotic energy he can't categorize or control. And paradoxically, it's this very unpredictability that begins to chip away at his rigid defenses.
His life, which he had so methodically planned to end, is constantly disrupted by the messy, unpredictable needs of others.
Pulling him back into the world, one exasperated sigh, one muttered insult, one grudging act of kindness at a time. It's a powerful lesson in how connection can arise from the most unlikely of places, even from the very things we initially resent.
Okay, so these constant interruptions, these reluctant connections, they don't just happen in isolation. They build, don't they? They build to something truly transformative.
They absolutely do.
The fight for Rune and Anita, Ove's old friends, becomes his new overriding purpose. It's this galvanizing force that pulls him fully back into the world.
And the catalyst for this renewed battle is a devastating revelation. Ove learns that Anita has been fighting the council for 2 long years.
2 years.
To prevent Rune, who's now suffering from Alzheimer's and in a wheelchair, from being taken away and placed in a care home. And, perhaps most painfully for Ove, he also discovers that Sanja was deliberately kept out of it to avoid adding to her trouble.
Oh, that must have hit him hard.
This news ignites a profound righteous anger in Ove. It's not just a neighborly dispute. It's a reignition of his previous deeply personal battles against the same white shirts who had caused Sanja so much pain.
Right, the same bureaucracy.
When he hears it has been 2 years, he visibly slows down, shocked by the audacity and persistence of the system. His deep-seated loyalty, his unwavering sense of justice, his history of fighting for Sanja, it all demands immediate action.
This isn't just about Rune, it's about the principle.
It's about human dignity, loyalty, fighting against faceless systems that seek to diminish life. It galvanizes him, transforming his grief into focused action.
And Ove's strategy is nothing short of brilliant, isn't it? Honed by years of fighting for Sanja.
He doesn't just react. He uses his deep, intimate knowledge of bureaucracy against them. He appeals the decision, knowing full well it will take years.
And buys them time.
Exactly. He takes direct strategic action, orchestrating the moving of a trailer to block the white shirt's car, effectively preventing them from even entering the neighborhood.
Classic Ove move.
He meticulously demands documents from Anita, ensuring every piece of paperwork is in order. And crucially, he enlists the help of his new unconventional allies.
The whole gang gets involved.
Patrick, the lanky and inept, but surprisingly willing. Jimmy, the kind-hearted, overweight young man. Anders, the Residents Association poser who reveals an unexpected backbone.
And even Lena the journalist.
Yes, the very personification of modern media Ove once disdained. It's a ragtag team, an unlikely alliance, but formidable under Ove's reluctant, grumbling leadership.
And Lena the journalist proves to be absolutely invaluable, doesn't she? Showing the power of unexpected collaborations.
She really does. She uses her position at the local newspaper to threaten media scrutiny against the council, citing irregularities in legal processes that could take months, years.
Puts the pressure on.
This unprecedented public pressure, this threat of exposure, forces the little man, the white-shirted official, to visibly turn around and leave, abandoning the immediate plan to move Rune.
A major victory.
It highlights the immense power of unexpected alliances and unconventional methods to fight seemingly insurmountable systems. The man who didn't trust the net and hated journalists now directly benefits from the very tools of modernity he once scorned.
Shows his pragmatic adaptability when principles are at risk.
Exactly, when the stakes are high enough.
And with this victory, Ove truly becomes the fixer again, doesn't he? Reborn into this new, albeit familiar, purpose.
He reluctantly, yet profoundly effectively, embraces his role as the neighborhood's go-to guy. The indispensable man who knows how to do things properly.
He helps neighbors with jammed windows, with the infuriating task of assembling IKEA wardrobes.
Oh, the IKEA scene.
And with fixing complex joists over partition walls, always grumbling about their incompetence, calling them fools under his breath. But you can sense he finds this quiet, deep satisfaction in having something to get on with in the daytime.
His practical skills, once seemingly obsolete, are suddenly indispensable again, validating his very existence.
His role as a teacher and mentor also expands beautifully.
It does. He takes on the truly challenging task of teaching Parvana to drive, insisting she get a proper license manual transmission, of course not an automatic.
Even when it involves near crashes and shouting matches in the Saab.
He sees potential in her, a practical aptitude, and he's determined to impart true competence. He also mentors Adrian with those bicycle repairs.
Patiently passing on his vast practical skills and mechanical knowledge.
Recognizing a nascent capability in these younger individuals that maybe they don't even see in themselves. It's his way of ensuring his values and skills live on.
And his evolving tender connection with the children is just one of the most beautiful transformations in the book.
It really is. He reads bedtime stories to the 3-year-old, albeit with what the book hilariously describes as Ove excitement, a distinct lack thereof.
But he reads them.
He reads them. And for the now 8-year-old Nasanin, he makes a truly profound gesture. He buys her an iPad, the very OPAD he scorned at the beginning.
Because she wants to use its drawing programs.
Exactly. She calls him Granddad, a title he doesn't reject, and draws him in color, a profound symbol of his softening and the vibrant impact she has on his life.
He even teaches her to insert smileys into text messages.
Unbelievable, right? The man who didn't trust the net is now navigating emojis for his adopted grandchild.
And in a truly poignant, quietly powerful moment, he even reconciles with Rune.
Ah, yes. After everything, the BMW, the long animosity Ove, takes the time to speak quietly and one-to-one with Rune, offering a moment of genuine connection with a man who could barely remember him due to his illness.
And the two men share that poignant smile of recognition.
A silent acknowledgement of a shared history, a deep friendship that transcended conflict, illness, time. It's a subtle but powerful sign of healing, of moving beyond past grievances to reconnect on a fundamental human level.
Ove's transformation culminates in a final quintessential act of heroism, doesn't it?
It does. During a routine neighborhood inspection with his loyal cat by his side, he discovers burglars at a neighbor's house, the recycling family who are away.
And without hesitation.
Without a moment's thought for his own safety, he charges at them like a human battering ram to protect the property, despite being unarmed and, well, not a young man anymore.
He's struck down, sustains a head injury.
This selfless act underscores his deep-seated protective nature, his unwavering sense of responsibility for his community, not just for those he loves, but for the principle of what is right, of upholding order and safety.
And the profound irony of his life comes full circle at the hospital after this.
Oh, this moment is perfect. A young doctor bluntly informs Parvana that Ove's heart is too big, a literal medical diagnosis.
And Parvana's reaction.
A long, raucous laugh that makes the nurses stick their heads through the door. It highlights the beautiful, heartbreaking irony. Ove's literal physical condition perfectly mirrors his immense emotional capacity, the profound love and loyalty he's so carefully tried to hide.
And she tells the doctor,
with a triumphant, tearful laugh, that Ove is quite clearly utterly lousy at dying. It's the ultimate validation of his renewed purpose and connection.
Ove does return home, supported by Parvana and Patrick, recovering slowly. And in a deeply symbolic act, he allows Parvana and the girls to pack Sanja's things.
Something he had previously forbidden anyone from doing, clinging to every last physical remnant of her.
This signifies his acceptance, doesn't it? His ability to move forward, to allow new life and new connections into the space Sanja once occupied.
It really does. He continues to engage this community, helping neighbors, attending events, becoming the central, indispensable figure, no longer isolated. His quiet passing, eventually with the cat resting peacefully in his hand.
It's a peaceful, gentle end.
Will a life lived fully, finally finding profound meaning beyond his initial despair.
And his legacy, a testament to the profound shift in his life, endures.
Absolutely. He leaves that meticulously organized letter to Parvana, making her his executor, indicating she will inherit his assets, ensuring her future, recognizing her profound role in his life.
He organizes everything, right down to the video player instructions and the Sob service booklet.
Ever the fixer, even in death. And when that young pregnant couple comes to view Ove's house, the husband confirms his loyalty to the Sob brand.
It signifies Ove's enduring principles, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A continuation of his values, his loyalty, through another generation, unknowingly inheriting a piece of Ove's profound story.
Beautifully put.
So how do Ove's final actions, particularly that beautiful, ironic moment when the doctor says his heart is too big, demonstrate the core transformation of his character? He doesn't become a completely different person, does he? He's still Ove.
He absolutely does not lose his core identity. That's key. He never loses his stubbornness or his principles or even his grumbling.
No.
Instead, his stubbornness transforms imperceptibly but powerfully into perseverance. And his deep, unwavering loyalty expands from a single beloved person to encompass an entire community.
Oh, that's a great way to see it.
The profound grief that once isolated him eventually gives way to purpose, found not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, often unacknowledged acts of helping others. What's truly fascinating here is how his ingrained habits and rigid moral code, which initially seemed to push the world away.
Right. They become the tools.
They ultimately become the very tools through which he reconnects and finds renewed meaning. The very interruptions he so desperately tried to avoid are precisely what bring him back to life.
Demonstrating that sometimes the greatest transformations don't come from changing who you are,
but from allowing your core values to expand and embrace the unexpected. He finds his true strength not in solitude, but in a grudging, deeply felt interdependence.
It's a powerful illustration of how the simple act of being there, of being competent, even if reluctantly, can lead to profound belonging and ultimately to a truly rich life.
Indeed. He allowed connection and purpose to outweigh his desire for solitude and grief. His final acts are not about self-preservation or clinging to the past, but about ensuring the well-being of those around him. A true testament to the quiet, powerful impact he had on the world, even the world he initially deemed worthless.
He showed us that sometimes the most rigid exteriors hide the biggest hearts.
He certainly did. Hashtag outro.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into A Man Called Ove, what are the key takeaways, the real nuggets of wisdom we can glean from this seemingly simple story?
Well, first, I think Ove shows us that deep-seated principles, even the most stubborn or seemingly outdated ones, often come from a place of profound loyalty and a rich, sometimes painful, personal history.
Right. They're not just arbitrary rules. They are the bedrock of someone's identity. Understanding that can really change how we see the Ove in our own lives.
Definitely. Second, we learn the immense, almost magical power of unexpected human connection to break through even the deepest grief and solitude. Even when Ove tried his absolute best to push people away, small acts of kindness and necessity, a car crash, a lost cat, a broken bicycle, forged these powerful transformative bonds that he couldn't, and ultimately didn't want to, shake off.
It teaches us that sometimes the people who need us most, or maybe who frustrate us most, are the very ones who will pull us back to life.
So true. Third, purpose isn't always grand, is it? It can be found in the most mundane tasks of fixing things, and in the quiet, often unacknowledged service to others, even if given grudgingly.
Ove found satisfaction, even a quiet joy, in being needed, in applying his skills, even if he complained the whole time. It's a powerful reminder that our unique competencies, however niche, can bring profound meaning when applied to the needs of our community.
And finally, maybe the true measure of a person isn't their ability to conform, but their willingness to engage, however unwillingly, with the messy, unpredictable world around them.
Yeah. Ove never became overtly sentimental or fundamentally changed who he was.
Yeah.
But he allowed his world to expand, demonstrating that real strength lies not in isolation, but in reluctant yet deep connection to others.
Well said.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Consider the Oves in your own life, that gruff colleague, the seemingly inflexible neighbor, or perhaps even the Ove within yourself, that part that resists change and clings to rigid principles.
We all have a bit of Ove in us sometimes.
We probably do. Could a little patience, a willingness to see beyond the surface grumpiness, or even a grudging offer of help, open doors to unexpected joy and purpose? This isn't about changing who you are fundamentally.
No, not at all.
But perhaps softening the edges just enough for life's beautiful, chaotic colors to bleed in, allowing for more understanding and connection in your daily interactions.
And Ove, the man who wanted nothing more than to die in peace, ultimately found his greatest purpose, and perhaps his truest form of living, in the very interruptions he so desperately tried to avoid.
Such a paradox.
What if the most profound moments of our lives are hidden in those inconvenient knocks on the door, the unexpected scrape of a trailer, or the irritating howl of a stray cat that we initially wish would just go away? Think about that.